come to take your revenge, demon? Back to hell with you!
I recognize these two as my former brethren, in life as Sarafan, and in unlife as Cain's vampire sons. Melchiah and Zephon, the weakest of Cain's brood. These bastards had no idea what future lay in store for them, how they would become the very thing they so despised. The Reaver hummed with ravenous anticipation. Janos had called it a vampiric blade, endowed with the power to drain its victims of their lifeblood. I was eager to see what the Reaver would do to these two.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Soul Reaver 2 Remastered. We've got to go save Janos. Now the trophy says to get the last puzzle in Janos' area, you need to do it in under 15 minutes to get the trophy. I don't know if they mean the Fire Forge or the last piece of the puzzle in his actual fortress, but either way we're gonna give it our best shot. If we do it here and it doesn't trigger, then we'll know for sure it's the interior part of the area, not the actual Fire Forge. So let's try to figure this out. It's been a while since we played this. I've been busy with Silent Hill F. I think I'm almost at the end of that. Alright, we got both of them lit. Look at all that blood. Raziel's gonna smell like copper after diving in here. I don't know for sure if that's actually blood or not, but that's what I assume. Or at least maybe some type of blood wine or blood water. That's what I assume at any rate. Okay, so the key to this is you gotta trigger the crystal and then get the air reaver under here. And then when the water starts rising, you can activate the air lifts. So nothing too complicated. You just need them to be able to get the little incendiary device or the torch, whatever, over to the top of the forge without having it extinguished by the blood. Because otherwise, if you don't activate those, there's no way to climb upstairs. He can't use his wings, and if you even touch the water, the torch will extinguish, so you pretty much have to activate the air lifts. And now we can actually go over here and now we can switch over to the light reaver to activate the crystal again. That'll drain the water. Because we only need the torch, the empty torch, because you can light it upstairs, so we only need the empty torch. Oh damn, we're at the wrong end. We need to go over here. Let's see if we can grab it. God damn it. We went to the opposite end. It's only been 3 minutes though, so I think it might be I think the trophy for the puzzle might be for the interior of his house, pretty much, not the Fire Forge. Because this is way too easy to solve under 15 minutes. So I think it might be they might be referring to the interior of the area, not this. Remember, it's already lit upstairs, so you can now go to the opposite end and light the fire. I think it would have been cool if they gave you an actual fire ability with this that let you ignite enemies and set them on fire. I know that's what they were planning to do originally, but they ran out of time. But it would have been nice if they could have incorporated at least that one above all the other abilities. That way you would at least have the same one from the first game. There you go. Pretty easy. Oh, there's one more part. Now this was a slightly tricky one. We gotta guide the... Let's see, how do we do this? Okay, I think we have to... First we have to activate the crystal again. Okay, now we can go over here. Be careful of the blood fountains, they'll put out the fire. Ah, damn, we didn't make it. We tried to go too far. That's the only tricky part of the puzzle, navigating around those fountains. Because they can very easily put out the fire for the torch, and then you have to go back and relight it. Alright, let's grab another one. You also don't have to look at the crystal while you're deactivating it. Gotta go over to this one. God damn it. You see what I mean? It put out the torch. That sucks. Good thing we can keep grabbing the torch again from this one. Maybe you can go around it instead. Let's try going over to the right side this time. Here we go. I think we got it this time. Yep, we got it. Let's shove that old torch in there. Hey, we earned it. Not without purpose. So it was the fire forge. That's good. We don't have to do that trophy again. And we did it in 8 minutes and 24 seconds. So that's a pretty good time. All this fancy fireworks, all this fancy show, and all it does is just basically make it another light, pretty much another key. I like the abilities better in Defiance, where you actually get some of the powers you were supposed to get over here. Even though the forges there are pretty boring, they're nothing like this, since the game is based around combat rather than exploration and puzzle solving. That's also clearly, obviously, a statue of Raziel. You can tell because of the hair. No other ancient pretty much has hair like that, so it's gotta be him. The prophesied hero. How have you all been doing? There's a lot of stuff on sale for Black Friday. Pretty good deals on some games. Movies not so much, but games definitely. Look at that. Look at that blazing inferno, right? Yep, the ancient flame. And now that one slipped behind him.
I plunged the Reaver into that furnace and forged the blade with elemental fire. With the Reaver thus imbued, I was now armed to unlock the elemental barrier and rescue Janos from his executioners.
And our health bar increased. I did get a Sinners for $14.99. No, it was $12.99 for on 4K, so that was a pretty good deal. Also got Pac-Man World 2. I'm gonna play that in a couple days. Looking forward to it. I was even able to get the Switch copy for somebody else for really dirt cheap, like $6.39. So all in all, there's some pretty good deals available. Alright, let's go try to rescue Janos. Emphasis on try, since Raziel never learns this lesson.
Hold him! Look at his black heart. How it still beats.
Yep, he's stunned.
The fiend intends to bury us alive. Raziel, we must get out of here.
Remember the sword!
Isn't that funny how he spent all that time and admiration on the Sarafan and how holy and pure they were, and he was always a scumbag from the very beginning. Cain was right. Rahab was right.
I'm sorry. I failed you.
No, Raziel. Perhaps this was my true purpose. Simply to save your life this once.
While I have taken yours.
Embrace your destiny, Raziel. You must reclaim the Reaver. It was forged for you and you alone. Without it, there is no hope.
As I backed away from Janos's body, I was overwhelmed by a sense of self-loathing so deep I could barely contain it. In that instant, I rejected all that I ever was, and embraced the role Janos had safeguarded for me so patiently throughout the centuries. I knew then what I had to do, the task for which I was uniquely prepared. I would pursue the Sarafan dogs to their loathsome fortress and avenge Janos Audrin's murder. Mobius would pay dearly for his treachery, and my Sarafan brethren would reap the horrors they had sown. I would retake the stolen Reaver, which was rightfully mine. And finally, when all these debts had been paid, I would reclaim Janos Audrin's heart from their filthy, unworthy hands. If the heart was truly imbued with the power to restore vampiric unlife, its highest purpose was clear to me. I would restore the heart to Janos, and thus undo the vile crime committed by my abominable former self.
Yep, we gotta go wipe out the Sarafan now, in honor of Janos. Yep, all that time he wasted in admiration of the Sarafan, all that he thought he knew, and yeah, he was a scumbag from the very beginning. Remember what Rahab said about them when he confronted him in the first game? He said he saved us about Cain, and Raziel scoffed at that, and he asked from what? Rahab told him from ourselves. So Rahab knew. Cain probably told him. He knew what he knew what the pieces of shit they were. Raziel was just too deluded to see it. We're gonna start with this guy, because why the hell not? Come here, jackass. They get no mercy now. The Reaver's gonna take them all. Who else wants it? That guy over here? I wish I had something better to report in terms of winning something, but no, it's been pretty rotten. Had a couple small wins, or someone close to me did, but look at this jackass turning in circles.
Free your soul.
Screw you. You're going for a ride. Yeah. Give me that soul. That weak and puny soul. So in case you didn't realize it before, the reason they turn yellow like that is instead of blue is because the Reaver siphons away some of their energy bit by bit every time you attack them with the blade. So that's why their souls end up in a weakened state. They don't have time to recharge. Gonna kill these two guys too.
Over there.
Oh, shut up, jackass. Is there a guy up there or not? I don't think so, right? I think it's just a font. A font?
Free your soul, demon.
Let's see if there's someone up there or not. No, it's just an empty font. Want to make sure we get all of them. Oh damn it! There is a guy up there. We need the air Reaver. Where is it? Lights over there. We need. Oh, there it is. Air. We got our Avenger boy Janos. Yep, ain't that a bitch how his destiny turned out to be. What you realize as you play this game. I was gonna say what you play this game, but what you realize as you play this game, this series, is that Cain is a lot wiser than Raziel, even though if Raziel won't acknowledge it or doesn't believe it at first. Cain knows a lot more than he does. So when he told Raziel that he knows that he knew nothing about his past, he meant it because Cain actually knew about all this stuff and Raziel was the one completely in the dark. But I guess he told Rahab. Maybe Turel too, who knows, but at the very least he told Rahab. Okay, so we got darkness, air, light. Is there a fire one somewhere around here? So it was us. We collapsed the fortress by letting those bastards get to Janos. It was us all along. It was me, Austin. Now we have a trophy for killing 3 fire demons at the pillars in under a minute. So for that we'll definitely need the Reaver and probably the fire one. I don't know if there's I don't think there's any tangible difference at all between the two of them. Or between the 4 of them, rather. They're just different keys. But I wonder if the fire one packs maybe a bit more punch. Just a little more energy. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a fire one around here, so we're just gonna have to wing it. Yeah, golf was brutal today. Well, yesterday rather. Michael Thorbjornsen looked like he was gonna do it, and then this was the one event I planned on him beating. This was the one I thought he definitely could win out of the whole fall schedule, and no, some weirdo from Finland ends up winning that thing. Oh well. And then football was a mess too, so overall just a bad Sunday in sports. I wish you could go back and get the fire one. Here we go. Demons round 2.
We've been expecting you, little Raziel.
So, these demonic pests were not merely the product of Nosgoth's corrupted future. For here they were, hurtling back over 5 centuries to pursue me. These creatures, I suspected, were minions of the unseen forces that had hoped to control me. This was the tangible expression of their displeasure. These demons were unleashed as the penalty for my disobedience.
I kinda liked them better before. Yeah, you guys are gonna pay too, bastards. Okay, so we don't actually have to fight all of these guys, but I'm gonna fight them anyway just to wipe them out. You know? You can just run past them, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. So between Raziel, Vorador, and Kain, it's pretty obvious why the Sarafan Crusades ended. You know, between Vorador, Raziel, and then Kain later on. I know Kain comes after because of the changed timeline when they changed the future and Kain was allowed to live. That's why he's in Defiance later on. But between the 3 of them, it's pretty clear why the Sarafan ended the crusade, because basically between the 3 eldest vampires in Nosgoth besides Janos, they just wiped out hundreds of them. So like in one day or 1 week or whatever, they pretty much wiped out hundreds of the Sarafan. So that you can see why their crusade ended, why they're disbanded, because there's probably not that many of them left after these 3 guys were done with them. I don't know how many people Vorador killed on his way to the circle. They don't say, but I'm guessing he probably killed at least quite a few. Add to that him killing the 6 circle members, and then Kain's semi-rampage in Defiance where he just wipes out scores and scores of them. And then I assume that story-wise Raziel did kill every single one of these guys. Damn, look at that, he committed suicide. Look at that. He did not want to face Raziel. He was just, nope, I'd rather die. I'm just gonna go here and die. At least he gave us free health. Yeah, look at that, he just, what a dumbass. Either he stepped off there unwillingly, or else he just, nope, I'm not gonna face this guy. I'd rather take my chances in the afterlife. He did not want to face Raziel. I can't blame him. Would you want to face a guy like this? Armed with that flaming blade? Or as they call it in Defiance, a flaming sword? Oh, here come these guys.
Do you really think you can save Nosgoth? Let me enlighten you, poor Raziel.
Sure we can. As soon as we deal with you guys. As someone has pointed out in a different stream, the combat is a lot jankier here than it is in the original game. I've also been playing the first game again on the Switch too. It's still pretty fun. You know, it's pretty fun compared to this one where you have a lot more balanced combat and a lot more exploration. So it's a better overall game, but I still think the story here can be beat. I think the story here is top tier and holds up even, what, like 2 decades after this game was released. The story still holds up pretty damn well, in my opinion. So they're both worth playing. Hopefully they'll remaster Blood Omen 2 and Defiance. Although I can't imagine why with Blood Omen 2, but hey, you gotta do all the games, alright? You can't leave that one out just because it sucks. Yeah, I can't imagine why anyone would want to see that one remastered, but we've gotta do it. We're going backwards. Look at the solitude. There's no one left. I see the snow doesn't stick to Raziel. Alright, so we got one priestess, but I don't think there's any others around here. So I think we're gonna have to do that trophy in a second playthrough. Because I don't think we're gonna be able to get it here. Unless maybe the first path coming from the pillars. Or I mean the Sarafan fortress. Yeah, there's no priestesses over here. There's demons though.
There he is, the savior of Nosgoth.
Don't you have something better to do? There you go. Now one thing you can do is you can definitely stand back and let them fight each other, because they'll inflict damage on the enemies. So whether it's the demon left or the human, it's better to just let them fight it out. Damn, he died. Let's try to get some health from this guy. Yeah, the demons normally have mad health, but let's see who wins this little showdown. Yep, let's recycle all those souls into the Wheel of Fate. Like a good little soldier. It's funny, he's telling them free your soul. I don't think they need to free their souls. I think they're right where they want to be right now. Okay, so we now that we got our health back, we just kill this guy with the Reaver. It's the easiest way. God damn. Now I think these are supposed to be like the fire demons from Blood Omen. The ones that had 4 arms originally. We can just spam them to death. Nice detail on the faces though. As always, we're gonna save in the other file just in case something goes wrong. I think I might get Sonic Racing from Black Friday. Just so I can return this one to Gamefly. Because it's on sale for $44.99, so I can use some rewards to bring down the price. And I want to make sure I get that Pac-Man Festival. I didn't really like the one they did this weekend. The SpongeBob SquarePants one. I only played like I only played a few. I only played 3 races tonight, or yesterday rather, to get some points. But I didn't really like that one. But I might get that. I was thinking I should get Metaphor, but you know, the game for the makers of Persona. But at the same time, I don't know if I have enough time to play another 80 to 100-hour game. That just seems a little bit too much of a commitment right now. And I'd rather not get the game and have it sitting on my shelf the entire time. Oh yeah, let the guys deal with it. Because they'll weaken him for us enough that we can kill him with just a few swipes. Plus we can get their souls too. Damn, that guy's just ignoring them over there. He's not even remotely concerned about this battle. Don't you hate that in video games when the enemies just ignore each other? Like here, sometimes they'll fight each other, but sometimes they just focus on you. Even though there's a flaming big red fire demon right over there, why does he have to focus on us? That's kind of silly. At least we can spam them from over here.
Free your soul, demon.
There you go. Isn't it funny how the mercenaries from the post Blood Omen era were better fighters than the Sarafan? And also Mobius's troops were better fighters than the Sarafan. I think it's because Mobius trained them himself, versus here he was affiliated with their order. But those he trained himself, so I guess he knew how to train them to properly combat vampires rather than what they were doing before. You know, he was their patron, but he wasn't in charge. The brothers were in charge, with Raziel and Malik.
Come closer, Raziel.
Yeah, that one definitely looks like the Blood Omen type demon. God damn it. That sucks. Alright, we're back from that glitch. I've never seen that before, not even in the original, so I have no idea what went wrong there. Maybe it has to do with the update I haven't installed yet. A small update that keep bugging me to install and I haven't done it, so Whatever, we're gonna make sure to save in the swamp area. That way we don't have to replay that whole section all over again. I just went back and killed the fire demons and the other Sarafan again. I'm gonna whip these guys out too. I wonder why they chose not to have the gateways in this game like they do in the first game. I wonder if it's implying that they weren't built before. I guess they weren't built yet. So I wonder who built those things. Maybe followers of the other god built those things to connect the whole world pretty much, or like to connect the area. Maybe Mobius has something to do with the construction. I wonder who built those things, the portal gates that you used in the first game, because we never see them prop up again anywhere in the series. So I wonder who actually built those things. Must have been humans, I guess. Maybe under the direction of the Elder, but then that doesn't explain why some of them lead to the clan territory. So I do wonder who actually built those things. Maybe it's a combination of both humans and vampires, each building them in according to specific instructions that they found. Oh yeah, the Reaver's eating good right now. Kill this guy too. One thing we want to do before we go to the pillars is recover all our health, and then also make sure we have enough of that spiral there for the Reaver so that it kills them more quickly. Yeah, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. Now we don't have to repeat that whole section, just in case. Yeah, the warp gates, I wonder who built them. A lot of mysteries for Noskov that will never be revealed now. We'll never have an answer to any of that. You know, now that the team's disbanded, now that Crystal Dynamics is in serious trouble, Amy Hennig's move on, we'll never have the answer to any of those questions. We're gonna set this guy on fire. There you go. Suck on that. Let's get the air Reaver because it makes navigating the swamp more manageable. You run faster when you have it. You don't get slowed down by the muck of the swamp. I always thought when I first played this, I thought it was because it was snowing and maybe it was making the surface more manageable, but no, it's the air Reaver that causes him to be lighter, so you can just run through that mud right there and not have to worry about getting stuck. Let's grab these two bastards. Another victim right over here. Also, those glowing orbs right there are supposed to be the Ignis Fatuus, according to Mobius, who they like the weight of Orodor's home in the swamp. So I'm guessing he put them there, or his minions put them there. But that's the Ignis Fatuus. Those glowing candle-like things right there, the cauldrons.
You shall not pass.
This guy thinks he's Gandalf. I never realized what that line was from until I saw Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. I thought it was just a generic line. He's just telling him, oh, he's not gonna let him through, or no, he's directly referencing that. He even looks like the Balrog. Like Peter Jackson's interpretation of the Balrog, but... like, I doubt the appearance was intentional, obviously, but the line is definitely referencing that famous line. Especially since the guys at Crystal Dynamics at the time were definitely a fan of, I'm guessing, fantasy type stories. Just checking to see if the tying streaming chamber still works. If it still activates. We need some health. We should probably get that Fire Reaver back. Is there another font that we can use? No, I guess not. Oh yeah, I think we need the Air Reaver. Never mind, I think we need the Air Reaver to activate the lift. There's the bridge for the darkness shadow bridge that you can make. I saw some pretty interesting movies recently that I missed out on. I actually saw Time Cop for the first time yesterday. And Hard Target. Time Cop is actually pretty good. Hard Target was also, I guess, pretty good. It's kind of janky in some places, but I can definitely appreciate John Woo's style. Like, it may not be fully for me with the fact that he stops to use slow motion every 5 seconds, but I definitely see the appeal of his style. I can definitely understand it a lot better now. Oh, and speaking of dark, I also saw the pilot for Welcome to Derry, the Stephen King show based on It. Yeah, they started off brutal. God damn. They started off killing kids right away in that version. Pennywise gives no fucks. He's just a complete and brutal monster. He gives no fucks as to how young or old his victims are. We're gonna run out of energy soon. We gotta find the water. That's what we gotta find. But where is it? Oh, there it is, I'm guessing. He doesn't reach. I wonder what he has to do to get there. Oh, maybe we can climb the ledge. Then just run past this guy because we don't have the health for it. Oh yeah, we can just fly across. We don't even need to use the Dark Reaver. Almost made it. Oh, there it is, right there. I see it. Let's avoid these guys. Make sure we activate this. Now this, I'm guessing, was built by early followers of the Elder God. You can see the squid arms or tentacles at the sides of the... I'm guessing this is an altar or statue of some sort. Like a shrine. Let's recover our health. Now, where's the portal to shift back? Oh, there's one right there. Yeah, those we can just ignore right over there. We don't have to kill those. There's no point. Yeah, there's a fire reaver right over there. That'll come in handy. Look at all the ancient fossils that are buried here. Or are those markings of the Elder?
You have failed me, Raziel.
I wonder, Old One. Did you truly resurrect me? Or were you simply there when I awakened from my torment in the abyss? I suspect you found me merely convenient, dropped in your lair by Cain, indestructible for some reason, a durable and gullible tool for you to manipulate. This one thing I readily admit. I have been used by others time and again, but always I seem to stray from their path. What is it about me, demon, that makes me such an unreliable instrument? Why do I survive one trial after another, on and on, in an endless succession of humiliating deaths and resurrections? It seems there is much more to my destiny and my history than I know. Perhaps more than you know as well.
You have failed.
He just had to get the last word in, right? Let's save here so we don't have to redo that whole section all over again. Yeah, let's avoid all that mess. Look at that. Hell yeah, we're out of here. Oh yeah, those things are out here now. That's a clear sign that they're under his control. It's not just coincidence. He's probably the one who creates them in the first place. Or allows them to be created. Alright, here we go. Gotta do it in under a minute. The pillars actually look pretty nice in this era, don't they? They don't look as pure white as they did in Blood Omen, but still pretty close. They look like marble now.
He thinks he can change his destiny. What a fool.
Oh, shut up. Alright, let's start with this guy. 1. 2. And we got one more. 3. There you go. Inferno. Look at that. Easy, huh? It's easy when you have the Reaver all charged up. Let's take a picture of that. You'll notice also that when the cutscene played when he was exiting Janos' area at the top of the balcony, they intentionally did it similar to that scene you see in the Chronoplast in Soul Reaver 1. Since they couldn't use the actual original story, they made sure to make certain scenes in this and Defiance very close to what we saw in those. So even though that was supposed to be, I think, the Cain Reaver, it greatly resembles the Fire Reaver and him standing on the balcony. If you make it a little darker, it almost looks exactly the same. So they did reuse that whole story idea in a different way. God damn, the humans are fucking annoying in this. Compared to the vampires in the original. Look at that little bit of health he gave, that was nothing. Okay, we got one. Is there another we can kill?
Get him!
No, there's a Sarafan. God damn it. Stupid asshole. I hate these jackasses. Really? Yeah, I guess we'll have to try that trophy on our second playthrough on my own. Because there's just too many goons to easily target the sorceress.
Seize him.
Or the priestess.
Get him!
God damn, see, look at that.
Free your soul, demon!
God damn, come on. Yeah, so there's enough priestesses. There's just too many enemies, so. I think the way to do is we have to clear out the soldiers first. And then we take care of the different priestesses. We gotta clear them out first. So that'll be a job for another playthrough. Not this one. I wanted to get it, but we still gotta go back and get the crow one. See, look at that. There's a priestess right there, so. Let's see, you got her. Maybe we can kind of pull it off. Let's see. Hopefully there's no other warriors over here. Alright, we got two. But I think that might be it. Unless we can find someone else over here. Oh yeah, there's one right there. Let's see if we can kill her. God damn it! Shut up. Damn, we almost had it right there. Did we save at the elders, or like, is it even worth it to go back, or? Cause shit, we should have just charged her with the Reaver. God damn, how does he run so fast with all that armor? Oh yeah, we forgot to do a trophy for the gliding also. Shut up. There's 1, 2. Oh, there's 2 of them right there. Let's see. I think that's the last chance because we don't have any others after this. Oh, of course this bastard would be here. Of course he would be there because why wouldn't he? God damn! Can you mind your own fucking business? Jesus. Yeah, we gotta... I think the only way you can do that is you gotta clear out the soldiers first and then target them individually. Because otherwise there's just no way they're gonna keep prodding at you with them. They're gonna keep prodding at you with the spears and... I mean the staffs and whatever those things are. Yeah, so the only way to do that trophy is to the only way to do that trophy is to clear out all the soldiers and then go after them with the Reaver so that you can kill them quickly. Otherwise, you just keep getting hit. Alright, we are near the end game now, so now we gotta go grab the light Reaver. Open up that huge door and go confront Mobius and his minions. Ourselves, pretty much. But first we're gonna save after opening this door. So there we go, we pretty much wiped out probably like half of the Sarafan order. Or at least a third. And then I'm sure Aurora killed a few on his way here. And then Cain will take care of the rest in the next game, Defiance. Final saves, and from here on it's you don't get a save spot. It's just straight to the end. Oh, there was one right here, you see? Oh, there we go. Maybe we can do it. There we go. What sorcery is this? We got it. Excellent. We don't have to go back for it now. Thank God. I guess they put that trophy there knowing that since there's 3 enemies over here and then there's also 2 outside, you pretty much have a chance to get it there. Alright, so at least we got it. Now let's go kill the rest of the Sarafan. And our brothers too. Alright, so there's only a couple trophies missing, mainly the one with the crow. Oh, and we forgot to do the gliding one. Yeah, we probably should have glided from that ledge we saw outside. That would have been a nice spot. Also, the ledge in the swamp that leads to Janos' area, that would have been good too. So are they all bald basically? The women are bald, but are the men also bald besides the commanders? Because obviously Raziel has hair, but I don't know about any of the others. Besides the ones we see, like Rahab and Turel, I guess. No, we only see Rahab with his helmet off. Zephon has short hair and Melchiah's bald. I guess all the women are bald in their order. And most of the men too, probably except for like the commanders like Raziel and Malik. And Zephon. Here we go.
Suddenly and inexplicably, I discovered the Reaver suspiciously laid across my path. Again, I sensed nothing of that temporal distortion, the peculiar sense of displacement I had felt when I encountered the Reaver in William's chapel. Cornered here with the blade, I suffered the same nameless dread that I had experienced when Janos first presented the Reaver to me. I felt at once repelled by the blade, and yet overwhelmingly compelled to seize it.
So, Raziel, here we are finally. You have no choice but to confront me now, and I am not so foolish as I've let you believe. We have business to conclude.
You knew I would lead the Sarafan to Janos, you vile bastard. You've been orchestrating my every move. My destiny is an amusement to you.
It was fun while it lasted. I think not, Raziel. Malik, do not let this creature leave. He poses a danger to the circle. Poor, deluded Raziel, did you somehow imagine you had the guile to change history on me? I'm the time streamer. I knew your every intention before you did, you imbecile.
Call your dogs! They can feast on your corpses!
Lord Mobius, there is trouble within. The circle is under
Hold
attack.
fast, Malik. This one is the real danger to us.
What are you trying to concoct here, Mobius?
You toxic creature. Did you imagine I'd simply allow you to run loose, corrupting everything you encounter?
I admit that I've underestimated you to this point, Mobius. It's a mistake I won't repeat.
Wrong again, Raziel. Now, Malik, bolt the door.
Using his staff to disable my Wraithblade, Mobius effectively disarmed me, leaving me with only one choice of weapon. And yet I confess, it was not the lack of options, but blind rage that made me take up the Reaver. In my fury, it felt as though my hand had acted of its own will. And now, that same hand clutched the hilt with unyielding strength, and I felt a constrained tingling, a remote but palpable sense of longing, as the disabled Wraithblade tried vainly to embrace its physical twin.
Oh, he slid over there fast. So in case you didn't realize it, or you didn't know because you didn't play Blood Omen, that guy is actually the leader of the Sarafan, Malik. It's his order, pretty much. Raziel is under him. As much as they celebrate Raziel and paint him up as some type of saint in the Sarafan, and he has unique armor and the good looks and all that stuff, Malik is the one who actually runs the order. It's his religious order, not anyone else's. He's the leader of the Sarafan. I always thought the Reaver looked a little odd, the way it looks green here. When Blood Omen, it was like black. And then in Cain, when Cain had it in Soul Reaver, it's like gray, wasn't it? Now it looks a lot more metal in the regular version. They also redid the spikes there. They were longer. The spikes on the side of the skull, they were actually a lot, not a lot, but they were longer in the original version in Blood Omen. I think the Reaver was also longer there too. It's a massive blade, but it was even longer there. Like, I think it was almost the size of Cain's body, or maybe even larger in Blood Omen. One person rightfully pointed out many years ago when I was watching like a playthrough of this, I think it was a guy on YouTube called Judas something, or Yoris something. His name started with J, but he pointed out that when Raziel said he had no other weapons at his disposal, he basically thought, what about your claws, you idiot? You use your claws, which is true. He could have used the claws to tear at them through the armor, so he didn't pick it up. He wasn't thinking, like he said. He could have used the claws to fight him. He didn't need the actual blade. Like, wouldn't you find it suspicious that it's laid out right there so you can take it? So Mobius obviously wants you to take it. I wonder also, at the time it was seen as a misconception, or like a mistake to have Vorador attacking at the same time as Mobius is here, because we see in the Blood Omen intro that Malik is running towards Vorador. But I wonder if that was intentional now. I wonder if it's like a little slight deviation, like the ones that Kane explained, that because they changed time, suddenly there's slight deviations that ripple throughout the time stream. And I guess maybe they rippled backwards also. So that's why Malik is here and you see the screaming out of place from where it is in the original Blood Omen. Of course, the obvious answer is they just changed it. That's probably the most likely explanation. They just wanted to change it. And maybe like the flashbacks in Blood Omen 1 weren't entirely accurate since they were from Vorador's perspective. But yeah, I think it could just be a little deviation in the timeline caused by Raziel's very presence here. So there are no real boss fights in the game besides these. These are basically your bosses, the Sarafan brothers.
Come to take your revenge, demon? Back to hell with you!
I recognize these two as my former brethren, in life as Sarafan, and in unlife as Cain's vampire sons. Melchiah and Zephon, the weakest of Cain's brood. These bastards had no idea what future lay in store for them, how they would become the very thing they so despised. The Reaver hummed with ravenous anticipation. Janos had called it a vampiric blade, endowed with the power to drain its victims of their lifeblood. I was eager to see what the Reaver would do to these two.
So the Reaver's actually a pretty cool weapon. It sucks the blood out of them pretty much. And you can see it also prevents you from taking damage. No matter what they do to you, they cannot harm you. So it's not even really a boss fight, it's just like two enemies in your way. They do have a lot of health compared to the normal Sarafan. There you go, right in the crotch. Upwards. Which one is Zephon? I think it's that one, the yellow one. So there goes Melchiah. Or was this Zephon? Given the same treatment. Give it one strike just because. So you can look at it absorbing the blood.
Melchiah and Zephon fell before my blade. I felt the Reaver's bloodthirst as keenly as I ever had when I was still a vampire. I could sense the boundary between us dissolving. The Reaver was consumed with my rage, and I was intoxicated by its bloodlust. The blade had a vitalizing effect on me. My physical energy no longer decayed over time, and the wounds inflicted by my foes healed almost instantly. The Reaver had made me invincible.
Yeah, we'll get to wield that later on in Defiance. If the Reaver did for the ancient vampires what it does here for him, even remotely, you can understand why it was such a powerful weapon, because then they literally can be beaten by anything that their enemies can throw at them. They're just no match for them, as long as they have the blade. Yeah, they kept the details of the Sarafan stronghold intact from Blood Omen from the flashback. You can see it in the mural, so I do wonder why they switched up the Vorador sequence, why his scream and then their screams from the circle, why all that stuff is out of order. But like I said, I think it's just they just wanted to change it. They wanted to do it differently, have it play out differently. But I think in universe it's probably a result of all the messing around with time. You know, it's just another anomaly. Like Kane said, as long as they're not too massive, the timeline just changes to accommodate it. I think that's also why we'll see the pillars look very different in Defiance. The timeline is always changing, but only in minimal ways, superficial ways. Look at that fancy lock. It's like something out of the world's greatest locksmith or something. I've never seen a lock like that ever.
You come to reclaim the monster's black heart.
You'll have to get through us first.
There's Rahab.
My former brethren, Duma and Rahab, confronted me next. This all seemed so elegantly choreographed. Exhilarated by the Reaver, I was drunk with revelations. I could finally appreciate the delicious irony of Cain's blasphemous private joke, and I reveled as I colluded with him across the centuries. For it was I who put these bastards in their tomb, thus providing the corpses for Cain to raise as his vampire sons a millennium from now.
So this game was actually the first game I ever heard the word bastards repeated in so many occurrences in one game. The first time he said it was obviously in Soul Reaver 1 when talking with Ariel, but then I heard it in Metal Gear Solid 1, and then I heard it more in this game too. So this was one of the first games where I actually heard a lot of cursing in an actual video game before. It wasn't all just cheesy dialogue, like the characters actually sounded like actual human beings. Raziel sounded like an actual person, not just a video game character. Back off, Duma. Too bad we can't crispify him again like we did in the first game. So the Inquisitors are formidable, or at least I know Raziel's the head Inquisitor, but these guys are much more formidable than the average Sarafan. So I can see why they would make a powerful deterrent force against the powerful vampires. They actually know what they're doing. They're pretty strong. Too bad for them it doesn't make a lick of difference. Here you go. Take this one, Rahab. Have it for the road. You see, you can't absorb their souls because the timeline ensures that Cain needs them to resurrect them. If he can't have access to their souls, there's no way they're getting back out of their tomb. So the timeline has to ensure that Raziel cannot recycle them back into the Wheel of Fate. They have to go somewhere else. There's also another reason too why he can't eat them the way he does the other souls. Damn, Duma's a bit tough. He knows how to block with that pike. Or is that a Naginata? No, I think that's a pole arm. Or a pike. Because obviously this is all inspired by medieval weaponry from Europe. There's nothing from Japan here. It kind of looks like a Naginata, but I think it's just a regular pike. Got him. Raziel did say he was a powerful warrior in life, so we're seeing it here, even before he became a vampire, covered in armor. Now he's finished. Yeah, it's like it folds into locking the gate. One thing that does bug me here is that when you go to this area in Defiance, it seems a lot smaller. I don't know why that is, why they decided to change it. I don't know if it's the perspective, like Kain sees it smaller than Raziel, or they just felt like changing it, but it's just really jarring to see it all wide and open expanse here, and then it's just very, not claustrophobic, but it's a very contained area in Defiance. It just doesn't look the same. Now, one reason you can't suck the enemy's souls in this particular battles is because
Now that I had taken it
look
up,
at this.
the Reaver and I were inescapably joined. The harder I tried to release the blade, the more tightly my hand gripped the hilt, as if possessed of its own will.
Yep, so he's lost
The
control.
Reaver exerted some mysterious power over me. It sustained my energy, enabling me to prolong my physical manifestation indefinitely. In fact, bonded to the blade as I was, I could no longer shift into the spirit realm at will. Nor was I able to summon the Reaver's twin, for my Wraith Blade had been disabled in the confrontation with Mobius.
So you can no longer shift to the spectral realm. Technically, he could steal the souls if he wanted to, but like I said, the timeline needs them to complete the loop, so he can't actually do that. It's literally preventing him from taking their souls. Here comes this bastard.
Get back to the pit you crawled from, demon.
And here at last was my brother Turel, who along with Duma would bear me into the abyss without questioning Kain's command. So dutiful and righteous, even as a vampire. I guess some habits die hard. The vampire Turel had eluded my vengeance. The Sarafan Turel would not.
That's a nice snark right there from Raziel about him being so dutiful. I think he's actually easier than Duma. He doesn't seem to block as effectively. Oh yeah, we can just tear him apart. Some of them block a lot more than others. Like you could see Zephon was kind of putting up a fight. Zephon was definitely putting up a fight, and then Duma pretty much. Rahab wasn't as bad, but those two were definitely blocking a lot of attacks. There's only one left. The man himself. Obviously we can't baptize it in anything here because it's a physical blade, it's not a Wraith blade. I've seen people actually make replicas of the Reaver like this, and they're actually pretty cool, but they cost a lot. Because when you're making them, you're making an actual sword. You may not use it in combat obviously, but it's an actual physical weapon, so... I think it costs minimum like maybe $200, $300 or maybe even $700 depending on the quality that you want, but it's definitely very cool to have, but even though it's very pricey. But it's a cool collectible though, that's for sure. And they're generally made by actual like swordsmiths or blacksmiths. Like it's not people who are just doing it as a hobby. Like it's people who genuinely invest time and effort into making these fictional weapons into quote-unquote reality. You know, they make it real even though it's a fictional sword. I think they've done Excalibur from the movie Excalibur, maybe Conan's sword. You know, they've done a bunch of different fictional weapons. The one Sephiroth carries, even though that thing is huge, so I forgot what that thing is even called, the blade Sephiroth carries. But I think they've done that also, so there are people out there who will make replicas of these video game and TV show and movie blades if you want, and if you pay them the right price. It's definitely a cool weapon, that's for sure. That was a source of excitement at the time about Turel. Everyone wondering where the hell Turel was, the vampire Turel. And then Amy Hennig saying he was gonna play a part in the next game. She kept saying he was a critical piece of the puzzle, and it actually turned out to be right. I don't quite agree with what they did with Turel and Defiance, but we'll get to that later. But it was a big mystery at the time. Here we go. Final showdown.
So, vampire, here we are. You've destroyed my brethren, and now you've come for me. You'll find I'm not such easy prey. I don't want to kill you, but I will if I must. Return the heart to me, and we can end this now. So, you've come to avenge that filthy parasite and reclaim his foul heart. You're a righteous fiend, aren't you? Apparently I am. No, vampire. This is where it ends. But you won't be leaving this room.
You can tell he wanted to raise an eyebrow there.
Let's finish this. I'll make it mercifully quick. As you did for Janos? No, that beast had eluded us for far too long. Would have been a shame to end him too quickly. It's ironic, really. The great Janos Ordrin turned out to be no challenge at all. Thanks to you. Did you hear his cowardly screams when I tore that black heart out of his carcass?
That blade is a nasty piece of work. It's funny how he keeps thinking he's a vampire. He obviously doesn't see that he doesn't have any flesh remaining, so he can't be just a regular vampire. He's gotta be something more. But this guy doesn't see it. Like, how would he even eat the blood? He's got no stomach, so obviously this is clearly not a vampire. You're dealing with something entirely different, human Raziel. I remember how disappointed I was when I found out that the final boss here was human Raziel on GameFAQs instead of something cool, you know, because that meant obviously the story would continue. We wouldn't get any resolution. But it worked alright. It worked out alright in the end, I guess. I was thinking that can't be right. Human Raziel is the boss? Really? Not just not something major like the Elder God or whatever is manipulating Mobius or stuff like that. Like, you know, something cool. No demon monster or anything, just plain old human Raziel, but it serves its purpose narratively in the story. Obviously they don't have the paintings yet in the room. It's just a plain old chapel. But they do have the snake eating its own tail there. That'll become relevant in a moment. It's already relevant though, with, like he said, he was the one who killed them all and put them in the tombs for Cain to raise as vampires, so he's definitely going in a circle. One big gigantic time loop. Alright, let's put this bastard in the grave already. It's funny how he doesn't recognize his own voice either. Maybe he thinks it's a trick, because they sound exactly the same. You'd think he'd realize he's talking to himself, or another version of himself. I guess he just thinks it's all a vampire trick. Here you go.
I renounce you.
Yeah, go to hell, human Raziel. Blade of Vengeance.
And so it ends. My history comes full circle.
Sensing its twin, the Wraith Blade uncoiled itself from me, and instead wound lovingly around its former self. I felt its grip loosen, and as the blade left me, its absence chilled me more than its presence ever had. A foreboding sense of emptiness and loss stole over me. And a terrible revelation gathered like a storm at the edge of my awareness. With all other foes exhausted, the conjoined blades turned themselves on me, and I realized, finally, why I had sensed nothing when Janos offered me the blade. The Reaver was never forged to be a soul-stealing weapon. The ravenous, soul-devouring entity trapped in the blade was, and always had been, me. This is why the blade was destroyed when Cain tried to strike me down. The Reaver could not devour its own soul. The paradox shattered the blade. So, this was my terrible destiny. To play out this purgatorial cycle for all eternity.
Man, when I first saw this as a kid, I was distraught.
Despair overwhelmed me.
I was like, Cain, do something.
You. Are you enjoying this, Cain?
Like, I was legitimately upset.
Don't fight it, Raziel. Give into it.
Was this your destiny for me all along?
Trust me.
I felt myself weakening, unable to hold on any longer. The Reaver was too strong. The compulsion to simply let go, too great. And then, a growing sense of vertigo and the familiar displacement. The paradoxical moment when my twin soul hovered both outside and inside the Reaver blade. This was the instant, the glimmer of temporal distortion Cain had been counting on all along. This was the edge of the coin, the minute flicker of probability upon which Cain had gambled everything.
This is one of the greatest twists in gaming, in my opinion.
Now you are free to reclaim your true destiny, Raziel.
This whole circle with the sword.
Behind Cain's eyes, I could see new memories blooming and dying as history labored to reshuffle itself around this monumental obstruction. And I could see by the dawning horror on his face that perhaps we had strained history too far this time. That by trying to alter my fate, he may have introduced a fatal paradox.
Yeah, even more so than the Silent Hill 2 twist.
The Hilden. We walked right into their trap. Raziel, Janos must stay dead.
But Cain's warning was lost as I slipped into the spirit realm, too weak to maintain my physical form. And there, waiting for me as always, was the Reaver, the Wraithblade, my own soul, twinned and bound eternally to me. And I realized that I could never escape my terrible destiny. I had merely postponed it. History abhors a paradox.
That was a powerful statement to end the ending on. What a powerful way to end the game. And the suspense of not being able to bring back Janos. So that definitely left us all excited for what will come next at the time. Unfortunately, what came next at the time was Blood Omen 2, which wasn't very good, but we got a better game in Defiance. Even though if they could have done a much better job with exploration and puzzle solving in that game, instead of just focusing solely on combat, like Devil May Cry style combat. Defiance does have the best combat of the series, but there's just too much of it. We needed some more exploration too, and puzzle solving, beyond just moving a few items here and there, like the spears and Vorador's mansion and a couple things that Cain moves on his own. Like, it's just, we needed more of this and less combat there, even though the combat is pretty good. Yeah, I still think that is probably one of the top 5, if not top 3 best gaming twists in all-time video game history. Raziel being the actual sword I mean, the actual soul inside the Soul Reaver itself. And the funny thing is, they gave it away from the very beginning of the first game, you know? Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Like, who else would be the presence, the entity inside the blade? It has to be him, and yet we never even saw it. And all those hints throughout the game, the snake devouring its own tail, you know, the Ouroboros sign, the one on the one on the floor of the cathedral, you know, where he and human Raziel face off in that chapel. How the Wraith blade always goes towards the physical blade, like it needs to be there. There were all these signs, and yet we never even saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming back when this game was released. So it's definitely one of the greatest ways to end any video game story on. That's for sure. Still memorable after all these years, and still very, very well written and superbly acted. Well, that was Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 2. Overall, still a pretty good game. I definitely see its flaws a lot more now that I've replayed it, both in this version and multiple times on my own on the PS2. Obviously, they needed better combat. They needed more abilities. They needed more powers. You know, more of the glyphs. They needed to include those. So it's just one of those games where it could have been one of the greatest games ever, if not just on the PlayStation 2, but ever. But it just did not reach its potential. But what we do have here is actually still pretty damn good. And they did it without the help of AI, which AI probably would have helped them out a bit, given Eidos's insane demands, because you just couldn't reason with them at the time. They had deadlines for games, and they would give you a deadline, and that was it. You cannot change it, you cannot appeal it. You pretty much have to have the game out by then, even if it's only like 65 or 75% complete, or 70% complete. So it was pretty much Eidos's fault that the game didn't live up to the standards set by its predecessor, by the first Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver and Blood Omen, I guess. But overall, what is still here is actually pretty damn good. Like I say, in an era where we're seeing companies use AI for all sorts of crap, and that's what it is, crap. They probably could have used a bit of it just to speed things along with the tedious stuff way back then, you know, to get Eidos off their back and leaving them free to actually focus on actually making the game a lot more fun to play. Not that I'm endorsing AI, I'm just saying, considering the insane deadlines Eidos would give developers back then at Crystal Dynamics, like, they could have used a tiny bit more help. You know, Eidos wouldn't give them more money, they wouldn't give them more team members, they wouldn't give them more time, but even so, they still churned out what I think is probably one of the masterpieces in gaming in terms of story and the writing and the acting. Like, my god, the acting is still spectacular even after all these years. The voice acting is just godlike. Probably one of my top 5 sets of performances ever in gaming, right up there with like some of the Metal Gear games and Persona 3 and other games like that. It's just overall a masterpiece in terms of storytelling and voice acting and atmosphere. Where it fumbles is the gameplay. That's where it stumbles, and that's why I would not be opposed to a full-blown remake of this if they ever thought it could sell, because they could include all that stuff back then that they had to cut out, like the Spirit Forge, the Earth Forge, the Water Forge, all that stuff included to make the gameplay more fun. Putting back all the abilities for the Reaver, putting the glyphs, stuff like that. They can put all that stuff and it wouldn't change the story in the slightest. It would still proceed exactly as it does now. Raziel would just visit a few extra places along the way. It would literally not change one single scene of the story. You would just learn more about the ancients, you know, the ancient vampires, get some more weapons and abilities and glyphs and stuff like that, collectibles, and then the story would just proceed as normal. It would literally not change a thing in the story, so you could definitely do it, but I don't think the series has that much financial appeal to a lot of people right now, so it's not going to be a bestseller. So I think we'll probably never see it happen, but it would be cool if they could remake this game and make it the proper Soul Reaver 2 that it should have been. Because like I said, you don't even need to change anything in the story. The story can proceed exactly as it goes along, and all you would change is that the gameplay. You would just make it more fun to play and better to explore and stuff like that. But yeah, it's still good. I wonder what the Spanish cast sounds like, or the Japanese cast. That we should play that sometime just to see how it holds up. if there is available. I think the US release probably only has like French and Spanish and English, but we should play some of those languages sometimes just to see what they sound like, to see if they're as godlike as the American acting, or the English voice acting rather, since some of those guys were Brits. God, we miss Tony J. He was the GOAT. No bonus features for this one, unfortunately. It would have been nice to see some of the exiled material, you know, some of the stuff they had to excise because of time limits. It would have been nice to see. But yeah, overall a pretty great remaster. It's not perfect. I'd probably give it like an 8.5 or an 8.7 out of 10, just because even though the first game is great, they did a great job with that. I wish they'd done a better job with this. I wish they'd put more detail and time and effort into the textures. You could see there were some textures that were really bad in comparison to their older ones. So I do wish they'd done a better job on this. But then again, I guess the point is that I get what they're thinking, that the original base game already looks so good that there's not much to improve on it. I get that line of thinking, but I still would like to see them do much more impressive work with the environment as they did with the character. You know, with the character work, because the characters look good. They look awesome. The characters look great. It's the environments that look kind of half-assed in comparison to what they could have done. You know, the trees. Some of the trees barely look the same. You know, some of the stuff in the vampire forges, in the Reaver forges, look really not well done. You know, like the lights and the crystals and stuff like that. There was that glitch with the boxes and the sacrifice victims in the air forge. You know, with the wind tower. That was hilarious. Seeing them all covered in those black boxes. I gotta install the update. That probably fixes that. But yeah, all in all, overall, the second game could have been done much better, but it's still a pretty good game. It's a pretty damn good video game, and definitely an incredibly great storyline in gaming, that's for sure. So I'm still glad I bought it, and I'm glad I bought the collector's edition for the Switch from Amazon. It actually came with a soundtrack and a pretty decent art book, so it actually has a lot of cool stuff in it. And a steelbook too, that you can get for just $39.99 or $29.99 if it's on sale, or even $19.99 depending on. I think it's on sale right now for Black Friday, so I'd check those out if I were you. They're definitely well worth the money, that's for sure. It's a great game to play. It's a great way to play what were and still are two classic games from the PS1 and PS2 era. So overall, it's pretty worth your time and money. So yeah, that does it for Soul Reaver 1 and 2. I might do a lore playthrough of Soul Reaver 1 just to really get into some of the stuff we learned throughout the series, but that'll have to come after Defiance because we still got some major story events to cover in that one. So let's get back to the launcher. Let's see the bonus content. Okay, so there is some stuff for Soul Reaver 2. The Light Forge, Dark Forge. Oh, that's some nice lore they wrote into it. The Swamp, Subterranean Ruins, a secret writing more ancient than God. A path to darkness and power awaits. See, look at that. Lighted drowned ruins of the Spirit Forge. Beneath these frigid waters dread. So yeah, there was the Spirit Forge. The Spirit Forge was supposed to be right there in the Great Southern Lake in the Sarafan stronghold. Fell as all mankind must fall, and demonkind infest its halls. That's some nice rhyming too. Yeah, that place is a ruin in the future 100 years later. Ustenheim. This hamlet lies in crumbling ruin. I'm guessing that's referring to the nightmare period, pretty much after Cain refused the sacrifice and the pillars started to decay, or they continue to decay. Oh, Janos Aldred's retreat. Look at this. The ancient vampire king once reigned here through wisdom, strength, and rule of fear. Or they're referring to Janos, I guess. I thought it was the actual king. The ones he preyed on overcame him, but history is writ by those who shame him. Yeah, they didn't know or care anything about what Janos was actually doing. They just had their own preconception of what he was, fed to them by Mobius, and obviously his god, feeding them lies about what Janos actually was. There's the Air Forge. The Fire Forge. Okay, so this is even though some of it's referring to the period where Raziel visits and everything's all ruined and stuff, but look at that, pure and corrupted. So pure, this was back when the pillars were still pure pretty much, but they were still clean and actually doing the job of maintaining whatever it is they're keeping back, and then corrupted. Here the Elder God resides and plots the doom of those it despises. The Lake of the Dead, we know there's a connection to that. And the Lost City from Blood Omen, because Amy Hennig told us so. Do not be fooled by first appearance and ware of time's devout adherents. Yeah, Raziel completely underestimated Mobius way too often. That's kind of why I like him, but also why he's frustrating sometimes, because he is ultra arrogant. He thinks he knows everything that's going on, and actually he knows nothing that's going on. Which makes it pretty easy, like, for forces like Mobius and the Hilden to manipulate him. We finally got a name for the enemy that Cain is facing, and it's obviously the enemy race that we saw in the murals. Unfortunately, they do not get the best presentation in Blood Omen 2, but they get a slightly more respectable one in Defiance, so definitely looking forward to playing that game. I got it on PSN. The Undercity, where they worshipped vampires and made sacrifices to them. Cain's Mountain Retreat. The Fire Forge. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff too. Dark Chronicle, those are the scripts for the game. They're pretty entertaining to read. And these are only for the first game. Music player, I assume, has all the different, the soundtracks. And then we got renders and stuff like that. Look at how good he looks in these renders. These are awesome. This is some awesome work done for the games. And some concept art too. So yeah, they did give us all the bonus features in Oh, look at his Villages of Noskov. Yeah, they did give us the bonus features I found in Soul Reaver 2 in the original. I was mistaken about that. They're just all in the one section instead of laid out across the two different games. So yeah, like I said, that's it for Soul Reaver 1 and 2. I'll play Defiance and Blood Omen 2 next. Probably going to take a little bit of a break from it to finish Silent Hill F, and then I'll play Blood Omen 2. Probably after we're done with Pac-Man World 2 and the RoboCop DLC. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Again, I definitely recommend you get this game. It is well worth your time and money. And I will see you again next time on, hopefully, Blood Omen 2. the next entry in the Legacy of Kain series. So see you later, everyone. Take care.